Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, prompted by a comment on a video yesterday, I'd like to describe how Rishi Sunak does have the option of a serious power play if he wants to assert his authority on his party. We are told that a protocol agreement is basically done, but there's going to be more discussions in a few days with the EU. What? Because the DUP and the ERG are causing trouble. Well, he may not be able to do much about the DUP, but arguably he doesn't have to. But I do know how he can beat the ERG. And the thing is, it wouldn't even be difficult. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, Rishi Sunak's not going to do this, by the way. Zero chance of him doing it. You know, you're more likely to find a tomato in Tesco than Rishi Sunak doing this. But it would be magnificent. I had a comment from someone suggesting that Sunak could present his protocol deal to Parliament and make it a sort of confidence vote. Now, there is form for this from previous Prime Ministers. It's been done quite a bit. Now, I don't think he should do that exactly, but I did reply with something he could do. It would be more powerful. It would make him look more powerful as a leader. It would certainly silence his detractors for a while because they wouldn't know what was going on. And most importantly, it would work. So back in the 90s, John Major was having trouble with the ERG. He was the last Tory Prime Minister that stood up to them. Really, the reason the ERG are in the position they are now is because of a succession of weak Tory leaders. John Major is the one who banged his fist on the table and said very rude things about them. He faced them down. The Maastricht Treaty was splitting the party, has done ever since, but it was in our interests. It was most certainly not in the interests to be left out on our own again, as we were when we were the sick man of Europe before joining the EEC. So Major just went right ahead with the only course of action left to him. Back me or sack me, he said. He made it a confidence vote. The party backed him. Now, for Rishi Sunak, it's not that straightforward. John Major was considered an electoral asset. Granted, Tory MPs maybe shouldn't have considered him so after Black Wednesday, but they did. With Rishi Sunak, this is clearly not the case. At best, a majority of Tory MPs probably feel that he is the best of a very poor choice. Now, it is possible that if Sunak mirrored Major's tactics and other Prime Ministers who've done something similar, that it could succeed. It would certainly be a bold move, and it might even jolt some of his more sane colleagues into action, but it would be very risky. Put it this way, I think Johnson's supporters would be happier with such a play than Sunak's. But there is another way that Sunak could force his MPs to back his protocol deal without risking someone else taking his place as Prime Minister. Now, or at least no one in his party. And as I say, this is purely hypothetical because two things will potentially prevent this happening. The first is he may not want to, for whatever reason, agree a protocol deal that doesn't return power sharing in Northern Ireland. So, you know, the DUP are key. But second, regardless of anything else, he's just weak. He's just too weak to do it. But the thing is, it would work. Or let's be honest, I strongly believe it would work anyway. So let's go back to 2019, shall we? MPs voted on all sorts of possible ways to break the deadlock over Brexit. None of them won majority approval. Essentially, MPs could not agree on any way forward. It's like, should we do this? No. Should we do this? No. Whatever you came up with, whatever possible way forward. No. So your proposal is just to keep kicking the can down the road. No, we don't want to do that either. Right, okay then. Complete deadlock. So Boris Johnson comes in. He's elected Prime Minister. Well, he's not elected Prime Minister. He's elected leader, becomes Prime Minister. And he says, right, the problem is that no one agrees on anything. So what we need is a new Parliament. Call a general election, change enough MPs so that we have a majority in favour of something, preferably my madcap scheme. Sunak could do the same thing. He could say, look, this is unacceptable. The protocol wrangling has been going on for years now. We cannot just keep going on forever. It's ridiculous. Enough is enough. The people are sick of it. We're ending this now. That would appeal to the public. I have an agreement which meets all of my aims It's good for the people of Northern Ireland. It's good for the people throughout the UK. And in fact, it meets all of the DUP 7 tests. Now, I happen to think that there are certain individuals who don't want any agreement at all, and they will come up with petty reasons not to support it. That is of no concern to the wider public. They want an agreement. We're ending this, and we're ending it now. And he could go to MPs, talk to them privately, 1922 committee job, something like that. And he could go and he could say, I am going to put my agreement before the House. You don't have to force a vote. Technically, Sunak wouldn't have to have it voted through Parliament, but Parliament would inevitably want to vote on it. So he could say, I am going to lay it before the House. There is going to be a vote. I'm not going to object to that. And he could then tell his MPs, one of two things is going to happen as a result of that vote. The first is what I hope is that the vast majority of you support it. It's good for us. It's good for our government. It's good for the country. I commend it to you. The vast majority of you should be supporting it. So even if opposition's MPs also support it, it won't matter because it's going to pass with Tory votes. The second alternative is, let's say it passes with a majority of MPs, because I believe that Labour MPs will support it, as in line with Keir Starmer's promise. But let's say it only passes because of opposition support. Let us say that there are not a majority of votes purely from the Conservatives. In other words, it's split in our party. So then what I'm going to do is I'll call a general election, in the spirit of Boris Johnson, in order to change MPs and get a majority that can actually agree on a way forward in order to bring the benefits of Brexit and stop this pointless bickering. That would not only be a power move to end all power moves, it would be quite unexpected. And it would make Sunak look like a leader for the first time in his life. But the thing is, it would almost certainly work as well. No Tory MP wants a general election right now. Oh, you can't have a general election, there needs to be a vote. No, because you removed the Fixed Terms Parliament Act. Rishi Sunak could go to the King and say, I fancy a general election, Charlie son, can you arrange it for me? No problem, Rishi mate. So he can do it. No Tory MP wants a general election right now. They would be hammered. And to go into a general election as a result of a critical split in the party will turn more voters off because they will look chaotic and poorly disciplined. In the middle of various national crises, that is not the party you want in government. It would be carnage. It would not help Boris Johnson's allies. It would not help the ERG. It would not help any Tory faction. It would be wipeout. There would then be a high level of motivation for almost all Tory MPs to force their more insane colleagues who might be thinking, well, I don't mind a general election, to sit down and shut up. Exactly what David Cameron should have done years ago. Several prime ministers have pulled variations of this theme in the past, not as extreme as this. And it has generally worked for themselves. And if not themselves, at least for their party. I think the last Prime Minister who used it, I'm not a historian, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the last Prime Minister who used it and failed was Neville Chamberlain. But I don't think anyone would argue that that didn't turn out for the best for all concerned. Essentially, the Conservative Party has been taken hostage by political thugs. They do not respond to persuasion, they do not respond to reasoned debate, and they do not understand the concept of compromise or honour, because they are trying to trash an agreement they all voted for. All they understand is power. And when I mean power, I don't mean political power. I mean bullying sort of power. And Sunak has got the power to play them at their own game. Now, in many ways, this would be a proper dick move. It would be the sort of political blackmail that the ERG have been engaging in for so many years. It's not the behaviour I commend in politicians. But in the here and now, from a practical point of view, if Rishi Sunak wants to finish this, this is how he would do it. But he won't, will he? Because he's weak. Be funny if he did though, wouldn't it? But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.